This video will demonstrate how to make a template when working with slabs of clay. For our next project, we're going to be constructing boxes, lidded boxes, out of slabs of clay. So in order to make this easier for you, we use templates. This will allow us to get all of our sides to the right length. So there are some supplies that you're going to need. You're going to need a ruler, a pencil, a good pair of scissors, and then either, you're gonna have a few options here, a piece of cardboard, a thinner piece of cardboard, like a 1-ply piece of cardboard. I just found this in my recycle bin. And I just kind of opened it up and folded it down. If you do pull something out of the recycle bin, just inspect it, make sure there's no food on it, and make sure that it's not wrinkled and crinkly, okay? So we're gonna wanna get some like nice straight lines. If you don't have something like this in your recycle, you can also use a thicker piece of paper. Please don't use notebook paper or computer paper. It's really not thick enough. If you have poster board would work. Some drawing papers are thicker. I have a piece of watercolor paper here that's a little bit thicker that I might use if I need some more, if I don't have enough space here. Also cardstock, if you have cardstock at home, or even old greeting cards, anything that can be recycled is great to use. Okay, so the first template that we're going to make is going to be for our lid and our base of our box. Now, I want to make mine a little bit easier to work with. I have all of these tabs on here. Now, some of the templates that we're going to make are going to be kind of skinny, so I'm going to save some of these pieces because I think I'm going to be able to use them for something coming up. But I'm going to just go ahead. I want to start with this big shape that I have here, this big rectangular shape. So I'm just going to take a minute to cut. Try to take my time and cut as straight as I'm able to and dissect my box a little bit here before I start measuring. So also give me a little bit more room to work. It's always a good idea when measuring, when we're trying to measure things evenly, try to cut straight. We want to try to have nice vertical and horizontal lines with which to measure against. Okay, so once we have a piece of cardboard or whatever our material is that we're going to make our template out of, the next step is going to be to measure. So our first template is going to be for our lid and our base. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write on mine, and I'm going to encourage you to also do the same. So I'm going to call this base and lid. Okay, and I'm going to measure. So I'm gonna use a marker just so you can see it better. You guys should use a pencil just in case you need to erase. So our base and our lid, we're gonna use the same template for 2 different slabs of clay. And both of those are going to be 5 3/4 of an inch. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna line up my ruler here, and I'm lining it up so that the edge of my ruler is up against the edge of my piece of paper. I'm going to measure 5 3/4. And I'm going to make a mark. And then I'm going to come down to the bottom here. This is where having your paper or your board that you're working on already squared up is going to help. I'm going to go down to the bottom, and I'm going to line my ruler up down here. Okay, so I'm looking down here. And I'm going to go over at 5 3/4 of an inch. I'll make a mark. I'm then going to connect that with a line. So it's always easier to cut a straight line if you can see it. So I want to make sure I'm lining up my ruler on those marks. Okay, so you can see that looks like equal space going down. And I'm going to just draw against my ruler like that. All right. So this is going to be cut away. Okay. So now I want to do the same thing. So right now my box is rectangular, but I want it to be squared. So I'm just going to turn my template and I'm going to measure this way now. So I'm still going to go to the edge here. Move some things out of my way over here. Hold on a second. Okay. So again, I'm lining up my ruler and I'm going to go to 5 3/4 of an inch. Bring my ruler down. Line it up at the bottom. Make a mark at 5 3/4 of an inch. And then go ahead and draw your line. Okay. Then this will be cut away. All right, and we'll have our base and our lid template. I'm gonna go ahead and write on here just so we can all remember that this was 5 3/4 of an inch. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and for this one, I am gonna cut it out because I want you to watch me and I wanna give you just one pointer here on this. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut along my lines and I'm gonna really take my time to cut straight. I'm going to turn it and I'll cut this side as well. And then it's always a good idea, or not a bad idea anyways, to measure again just to make sure you got it right. If our measurements are wrong, our box is going to be off. So I'm just going to go back, make sure at the top and at the bottom, it's still at 5 3/4 on all 4 of my sides. Okay, looks good. Now for this template and this template only, for the base and the lid, our lids and bases look a lot nicer if we curve our corners just a little bit, okay? So all you're gonna do is you're gonna just round off the corner. If it helps you to draw a line, get my pencil here, all we're gonna do is we're just gonna remove just like a little tiny bit of that corner, okay? Sharp edges in pottery are hard to achieve, and these corners here would like to crack, right? So let me just show you if I color it in. So I'm just going to remove a little bit of the corner to round it. Again, you can draw it in if you want, or you can just do it by eye. Okay, so here's my first one. The second one. Third one, and then the last one. Okay, so now moving forward, okay, after we've seen the start to finish for our first template, I'm going to walk you through the measurements for the other templates so that you know the sizes, but I don't think you need to watch me measure everything out. I'll put the marks on my paper and then you can go ahead and get started on this. And then in another video, I'll show you what we'll do with these. Okay, so let me get some of my other scraps over here. So the next biggest template that we need is the base centering template. So let me get my piece of cardboard here ready. I'm just going to cut it out. Now the base centering template is going to be smaller than the lid and the base. The lid and the base are going to kind of stick out. They're going to stick out a little bit from the edges of the box. So it's going to be slightly bigger. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so here we are. I have my next one. For my next template is my base centering template. And this one is going to be 5 inches by 5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and write on here so I don't forget which one I'm working on. Base centering. And I said 5 inches. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my ruler. I'll make the marks, but I'm not going to cut. So again, I'm lining my ruler up at the edge. I'm going to go to 5 inches at the top. Bring this down to the bottom. 5 inches at the bottom. Line up your ruler. Okay, so this will be cut away. And then I'm going to turn it and measure again, 5 inches. Place a mark at the top, down to the bottom. Place a mark at the bottom. This will be cut away. Okay, so there's our second template, the base centering template, which was 5 inches by 5 inches. Okay, so now is going to come a couple of our smaller ones. I'm going to move over to my watercolor paper that I told you about earlier because I don't have a piece big enough from the walls. So the walls of our boxes are going to be 3 inches by 5 inches. I think on this one, I'm going to measure before I write down what we're looking at. So again, I'm going to start at a corner of my paper, line my ruler up at the top. And this is going to be 5 inches long. So this time it's not going to be squared. So 5 inches long. And I'll go down to the bottom of my paper and do the same thing down here. 5 inches long. Connect those lines. Connect those marks that you made. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one since it was a little bit bigger, just so you can see if you were using paper, how it might be a little bit different. One nice thing about using a thicker paper is your scissors are going to cut through it. Don't try to cut through a really thick piece of paper if you don't have good scissors. Okay, so now my paper's 5 inches across. The height of my walls is going to be 3 inches. So now I want to start at the top. And I'm going to measure down 3 inches. And I'm going to come over to the other side from the top. Measure down 3 inches. Connect that line. Okay. This will be cut away down here. And then this up here will be our wall. And the wall is 3 inches by 5 inches. Okay. All right, so those are our 3 bigger pieces. Now, those 3 pieces or templates that we just made are going to be used to construct the base, the lid, and the walls of our project. Okay, we have 2 more smaller templates to make, and the first of the smaller template that we're going to make is going to be for our foot. Okay, so just a reminder that your foot is the bottom of your project where it kind of lifts it up off of the table. Okay, so for my foot, the foot is going to be 1 inch by 5 inches. Now I'm looking at this piece of cardboard that I have and my edges don't look very straight. So I'm going to trim that up before I start. because like I said earlier, it really does help to have nice straight edges to measure against. Okay, so I'm going to measure across first, and the length of this is going to be 5 inches. So I'll make a mark at 5 inches, and then I'll come down to the bottom, make a mark 5 inches down here, and then connect. This will get cut away. Okay. And then I'm noticing also on my piece of cardboard that this top side is a little bit lumpy, but the bottom side is a lot more straight. So I'm going to use the bottom side. I'm just going to flip this over. And now the width, so this is the length is 5 inches. We're going to measure down 1 inch. Okay, so line up my ruler over here. Go down 1 inch. I come over to the other side, measure to 1 inch, and then I'm going to connect those. So this will be cut away down here, and the top part is my foot. So I'm going to go ahead and label that foot. And that was 5 inches by 1 inch. Okay. One more to go, and this one is our smallest of the 5. And this last template we're going to make is called the flange. And a flange is what's going to hold our lid on. Okay, so it kind of is like a hook almost to hook your lid onto the box. So I'm just trying to find a good piece of cardboard here. I think this one's going to work right there. So for the flange is going to be 5 inches long and 5/8 of an inch thick. Okay, so we got some new measurements to work with here. So I'm going to start off by just trimming my edges just to kind of straighten this out a little bit so I can use it a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to start here. Let's do this side too. Okay. All right, so my first measurement is going to be 5 inches across. So we're pretty used to that by now. So again, go over 5 inches, make a mark, down. And we're going to connect again. Okay. All right, so 5/8 of an inch. That might be something kind of tricky for some of you. So let me just show you really quickly on my ruler if I can get the glare to go away. All right, so the ruler is broken down into inches. Like, so if we look in between 1 and 2, okay, that would be an inch. In between the edge of the ruler and 1, that's an inch. Halfway between here is a 1/2 an inch. Halfway between there, we have a 1/4 of an inch and 3/4 of an inch. If we break those down even more, we have 1/8 of an inch. We can go 1/16 of an inch and so on. But we want 5/8 of an inch. So this would be 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8. Okay, so a 1/2 is 4/8. 5/8 is going to be right here. So it's going to be halfway between a 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so 5/8 right there. I'm going to make a little mark on my ruler so you can see. Okay, that's what we're looking for, 5/8. Okay, so going down now, I'm going to make a mark at 5/8 over here and 5/8 over here. Draw my line. All right, so this would be cut away. All of this will be cut away. This is called the flange. And it was 5 inches by 5/8 of an inch. Okay. So then you would take the time to make sure everything's cut out well, and then you'll be ready for the next step of the project. Thank you.